What is up, guys? Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Kevin Crates. This is the channel where we go to crypto news followed by 5 charts every day. Today, looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, SXP, and EGLD. And as always, timestamps are down in the description below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that bell on to catch notifications for all daily uploads. The market is looking a little rough today, guys, but I mean, it's looking rough compared to not even a week ago, because as far as price action goes, if I click on Ethereum here, jump over to the 7-day chart. 7 days ago, Ethereum was hanging around 2,700, having trouble breaking into the 2,900s. And today, Ethereum is trading just underneath $3,000 at the time of filming, and that is a bit of a pullback. But if you zoom out, take that into perspective of what has happened over the last 7 days and what has happened over the last month, this pullback was expected, and it's really not that large of a pullback, at least not at the time of filming. We're going to take a closer look at the charts in a moment, talk more about Bitcoin and Ethereum's price action in detail, but there is no denying the Bitcoin and Ethereum have had a pullback today, and as usual, the rest of the market has followed in price action. When the market pulls back the way that it's pulled back today, it's very important to click on Bitcoin or Ethereum, click on that 1 month chart and just zoom out and get a bit of perspective on what has happened in the market over the last month. But at the same time, it's important to take into perspective what's happened over the last 3 months, where Bitcoin and Ethereum slipped into these lower price ranges, got stuck in that channel for quite some time, trending downward consistently. But recently, over the last 3 weeks, we've seen Bitcoin and Ethereum skyrocket, and simultaneously, we have seen the entire market follow in price action. It's also worth noting the way that altcoins are moving recently. I want you guys to think back to when the market was extremely bullish many months ago and Bitcoin was just pumping in price, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, and altcoins were just flying up in price behind it. But not every single day was like that. We would have some days where Bitcoin would drop down in price, and we would have some weeks where Bitcoin would drop down in price, dragging the whole market down with it. During that time, we would see altcoins have a bit of a pullback, some things more aggressively than others, but until Bitcoin was done consolidating at those lower levels and started to trend back up for its next higher price target, for the most part, the altcoins would mimic Bitcoin's movements, but the pullbacks were not very aggressive. And again, some things did have more aggressive pullbacks than others. But it wasn't until that May 19th crash, it wasn't until Bitcoin hit 30,000 and got stuck in that lower channel that the pullbacks on altcoins became much more aggressive, pretty much across the board. So although, don't get me wrong, there's definitely a pullback across the entire market today, the pullback on these altcoins just doesn't look the same as it did the last 3 months. I mean, look at some of these prices. Cardano, 179. XRP, 96 cents. What else do we have here? Solana, around $41. Litecoin, 165. Polygon Matic, 131. Terra Luna is just at around pretty close to $17. What I'm trying to say is that this just looks like a different market. Now, again, prices are a little higher still. Bitcoin is well above 40,000 for the time being. Ethereum is also above 3,000. But as far as a pullback goes, this pullback and this red day across the market feels nothing like it has the last 3 months. But we do know that if Bitcoin or Ethereum does drop in price aggressively at any point, the pullback on these altcoins will be much more aggressive. But as far as price action goes across the market, and for this to be a red day, I mean, it is a red day. Everything has pulled back a decent amount today, including Bitcoin and Ethereum. But for this to be a red day, in my opinion, still just makes this entire pump feel that much more bullish. Now, again, I'm not bullish or bearish. I really don't care about those things. I just go with the current trend and then look at charts and talk about the probability of different scenarios playing out. But as far as the market goes, I have to admit there is just a different feel to what I'm seeing, and the price action across the market is the reason that I'm feeling that. For those of you who are new here, this has become one of my favorite sites to check every day. Etherchain.org/burn keeps track of all the Ethereum being burned since EIP 1559. You can see here the timer refreshing the site behind me. At the current time of filming, we are now sitting at 35,264.8 Ethereum burned. So at the current time of filming, Ethereum's trading around $3,000. Let's go 3,000 times 35,264.8 equals $105,794,400 worth of Ethereum burned and removed from circulation. So as far as Ethereum goes, to put that into perspective for you guys, that is just 1 week of Ethereum being burned. That is absolutely insane. $100 million in just 1 week burned and removed from circulation. So we're going to dive into the charts, take a closer look at price action, talk more in detail about what is happening today. But as far as the market goes, it's a bit of a pullback today, but when you zoom out and put it into perspective, the market is still looking pretty decent. Looking at Bitcoin's daily chart, let's zoom in here, turn on our notes from last time. As far as price action goes, this candle was the one from today. This new candle is about maybe less than 30 minutes old now. It's about a 10-minute old daily candle, this candle that you see forming right here. So let's focus on what happened with this daily candle on Bitcoin, the one that just recently closed. We did talk about potential pullbacks to around 43.2 yesterday. We see here Bitcoin dipped all the way to around 43.7. So not quite hitting our price target, but trending down. And there is still the possibility that this next candle over the next 24 hours does potentially trend down to around 43.2. But if we jump over to the 4-hour chart, turn off our notes, let's compare Bitcoin's 4-hour chart to Ethereum's. So looking at Bitcoin's 4-hour chart, comparing it to Ethereum's 4-hour chart, Bitcoin's 4-hour chart very choppy ever since July 20th, back when Bitcoin was trading around 29,000. Bit of an uptrend, bit of a crash, bit of an uptrend, kind of all over the place. Ethereum, on the other hand, we've been talking about this for a few days. For those of you who are new here, we see that July 20th, Ethereum just shoots up from 1,700 and never takes its foot off the gas. This area here did challenge the Kumo cloud, so we did talk about the possibility that we may see a bit of price action in this area on the Kumo cloud. And as far as price action goes, Ethereum doesn't have much room left to drop on the 4-hour chart for this uptrend to continue in the way that it has. I'd not be surprised to see Ethereum possibly hang out in this range, but we do see these long wicks on Ethereum by the Kumo cloud. That is very good to see, and that gives me some indication that Ethereum is continuing to carry this market, because for those of you who've been here for a while, you know that in my opinion, what has been going on with the market ever since July 20th is that Ethereum is carrying the market. If we look at Bitcoin's 4-hour chart, we see a lot of volatility. So let's just focus on Bitcoin's chart, talk about price targets, and then we're going to jump back to Ethereum in a minute and talk more in detail about price targets for Ethereum. As far as price action goes for Bitcoin, we did have a bit of indication on that last candle, not this one here, the previous one, showed us a bit of downward pressure, a bit of a pullback. Again, that is very healthy on this move. I mean, if I turn off these notes, don't forget how much price action we saw upwards as far as Bitcoin and Ethereum go. Ethereum much more consistent again than Bitcoin, but as far as price action goes, if we are expecting that breakout, which again on the daily chart Bitcoin and Ethereum are setting up for, there is going to need to be a bit of a pullback before that possibly happens. And this pullback, even if it drops down to this price target we talked about yesterday of around 43.2, that is still perfectly fine. That is still very bullish as far as this move goes. Now, if Bitcoin starts to test 42.5, I'd be a little bit more concerned, but it really is that 40,000 mark that will be some indication of what is really going on with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin does lose 40,000, that would be a little bit concerning. I'd be surprised to see that happen. I'm expecting a bounce around 43.2 minimum. I mean, 42.5 is possible, but I think 42.5 would be a little bit too low. I'd say it's going to bounce around 43.5, potentially retest 45,000, and from there is when we may potentially see the breakout. Now, just to be clear, a breakout to me does not mean Bitcoin is going back to 60,000, 100,000, or any of those crazy targets you hear people talk about. A breakout to me just means that Bitcoin has the potential to potentially hit 48.7 and potentially even 53,000 from there. What happens after that, we'd have to relook at the chart, see what's going on, take a closer look at price action at that time. But as far as this setup goes, Bitcoin and Ethereum are set up to potentially break out on the daily. Now, as far as the daily chart goes, a bit of a pullback here for a day or two, maybe even 3 days. That is perfectly fine. That is perfectly normal as far as this setup goes. But as far as price action goes, we may see a pullback across the market, but I'd be surprised to see it hit any of these lower price targets. As far as pullbacks go, I mean, Bitcoin did have a pullback here. If we take this ruler right here and take a look at how much of a pullback it was around 11%. So if we take a look here, pull that down 11%, we may have a pullback to possibly around 41,000. I mean, that lines up right with this target here. If I just pull that up a little bit to around 41,000, that's a potential pullback, but that level of a pullback would surprise me. As far as price action goes, if I turn these notes off, I'd expected more to potentially come down here around 42,000 on the lowest end, right on that conversion line. But even that, I think, would be a bit of an aggressive pullback. That 42.5 target is a possibility. Anything below 42,000, that 41,000 based off of that measurement that we saw, I think that's a little bit too low for price action to trend. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum are still looking very bullish, and this pullback was very minor compared to pullbacks that we've seen, but the next 24-48 hours will give us some more clear answers. But as far as price targets go for the time being for Bitcoin, as long as Bitcoin is around this 44,000 price target, 45,000 is going to be resistance. If Bitcoin can show strength towards 45,000 again, we see it trading above 45,000 again, then Bitcoin is most likely setting up for a breakout. In that scenario, my breakout targets are going to be 48.7 and above that 53,000. As far as pullback targets go for the time being, I'm keeping my eye on around 43.2 as a potential bouncing target. Below that, I keep my eye on around 42.5, and on the lowest end, I keep my eye on around 41,000. And in the scenario where the market is pulling back intensely, I keep my eye on this 200 EMA right here around 38.9 for Bitcoin. Looking at Ethereum's daily chart, let's zoom in here, turn on our notes from last time. As far as price action goes for Ethereum, let's keep these notes off for a sec. This is still a very bullish setup. I mean, let's jump to the weekly chart real quick for Ethereum. This is Ethereum's weekly chart. Very bullish looking. I mean, look at it. It got back above the baseline. That conversion line is now curving up. It's only a matter of time, hopefully, before that conversion line crosses back above that baseline and we do see prices trend higher. That one-day chart in comparison with Bitcoin, I mean, this is Ethereum's one-day chart. This is Bitcoin's one-day chart. It's not really a question who's dragging the market down, and it's not really a question as to who is dragging the market up. If we jump over to Ethereum's 4-hour chart, turn our notes on. As far as price action goes, the 4-hour chart is still the area that I am watching for any indication that this uptrend might be coming to an end. This is a little concerning here, but as long as price action, I like these long wicks. These are, again, keep in mind, these are 4-hour candles. So this is around 8 hours so far, and this next candle has about 3.5 hours left till it closes. But as long as we keep seeing these long wicks away from that Kumo cloud, that is perfectly fine. I mean, even if it dips all the way down to this price target here, let me just grab that around 294, 2950 even would not be a big deal. Again, don't want to see it really bounce off the Kumo cloud like that, but as long as it stays outside the Kumo cloud price action, it's really not a big deal. Worst case scenario too, if it does enter the Kumo cloud, then I keep my eye on this 50-day EMA right here, which would be right around that price target if I just move that up a little bit. But if prices dip below there, 28.75, if prices dip below 28.38 and dip down into this lower region on the 4-hour chart, that would be some indication that this push in price may possibly be coming to an end. But the 30-minute chart did look a little bit not so great to me the other night as far as price action goes. We've talked about the 30-minute chart quite a bit here, so I'll just go over it for those of you who are new here. Ethereum's 30-minute chart, similar to its 4-hour chart, has just been on a monster uptrend for quite some time, ever since July 20th. We see here prices shoot up and just ride that 200 EMA for about 3 weeks now. Occasionally it did dip a little bit below here. From around August 3rd to August 4th, we did see it dip below. Even here we saw it ride the 200 EMA for a little bit, but the other night we did see prices dip well below the 200 EMA right here, which is where it is stuck. So as far as price action goes, I want to see prices get back above that 200 EMA, and right now it doesn't look terrible. As long as prices can kind of get back to above 3,100, that would be a good bullish indicator. But for the time being, they're kind of stuck around 30.50. But again, perspective, if we jump back to the 4-hour chart, as far as the 4-hour chart goes, as long as these candles here keep showing me those long wicks pushing away from the Kumo cloud, that is a good sign that prices will continue to trend up. But I just want to give you guys some perspective, especially those that are new here. As far as price action goes, again, keep in mind every single one of these candles is 4 hours. And again, this is 8 hours of price dumping. This is another 8 hours of price dumping after that. And that's another 4 hours of price dumping there. This is around 24 hours of price hanging out in this lower region that felt like a pretty big dump in price to us. So as far as price action goes, it's important to take these things into perspective. Look at that 4-hour chart, just zoom out for a minute and remember that every single one of these candles is 4 hours long. So when we saw this dip coming in price, we have to prepare for the fact that there's going to be 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours, and 4 hours. There's going to be 16 hours so far of us just sitting through the fact that price is now dipped lower and hanging out in that low range. And we might have to deal with something like this where prices hang out in that low range for over 24 hours. As long as price action stays above that Kumo cloud, that should give us some relief to at least expect prices to trend back up in price, because for the time being, this uptrend is still intact on the 4-hour chart. So as far as price targets go, I mean, they all line up. The 30-minute chart, the 4-hour chart, and the 1-day chart, my price targets line up. You can see here on the 4-hour chart, I'm watching that Kumo cloud. I'm watching that conversion and baseline. I don't really want to see them cross over. You can still see here, it's still bullish. That conversion line is still above that baseline. And if price action can get back above 31.27, that would be great. And again, if we go back over here, conversion line and baseline did cross for a little while, but they did cross back, but they still haven't even crossed. So things still do look very decent. If we jump to the 30-minute chart and look at these price targets here, if we jump to the 30-minute chart, I'm still tracking the exact same price targets. As far as that 200 EMA goes, I want to see it get back above 3100. As far as these lower price targets go, down here would be the Kumo cloud. Wouldn't be great to see it bounce off of here, but even a bounce off of here would kind of let it challenge the Kumo cloud in this area here and potentially reclaim some of these higher price targets. And then obviously these lower price targets that on the Kumo cloud are a no-go as far as the uptrend goes are a no-go on the 30-minute. And if we look at the 1-day chart to compare all those price targets on the 1-day chart from the 4 hours as well as the 30 minutes, you can see here the price targets all line up. And if we turn off these notes here, you can even see this next daily green candle on Ethereum in the same pattern that it's been doing since July 20th. There are very slight dips on Ethereum. Bitcoin, on the other hand, much more aggressive, and in my opinion, it's what continues to drag this market down. But now we have this bit of a tug of war. Bitcoin continues to, as always, in my opinion, want to drag the market down, but Ethereum is now on a mission to carry this market up, and that is what it looks like on the charts. And with EIP 1559, with everything going on with Ethereum, it just makes sense that Ethereum is now carrying this market back into a bullish state. And again, these price targets, 3100, you'll see here, if it pushes back up in that range, very bullish. Pullback targets around 2950, lines up with that conversion line, and down here, 2838 would bounce off that moving average, still be decent. And then this price target 2633, that would not be so great. And this one here could be a bouncing target, but anything below that would be a little bearish, and this baseline would come up in this area too, and that is where you may see a bit of a bounce in price. But this price target here would be a little bit bearish, and this one here, we want to see a bounce, and we definitely don't want to see it go below 2838. So as far as price targets go for Ethereum, pretty straightforward. For the time being, resistance is around 3,100. We got to see Ethereum trade back above 3,100 to be in a bullish state. Above there, we'd want to see it get above 3,200. 3,200 is the resistance area where if it can build support, it then has the opportunity for a breakout towards 3,564 and above. As far as pullback targets go, 2,953, that's right outside the Kumo cloud. I really don't want to see Ethereum trading below 2,950, but there is the possibility that that may happen. That conversion line is there, that Kumo cloud is there. So we may see a bounce at 2950. Below that, I keep my eye on 2833, where I really don't want to see Ethereum for sure dip below 2838. But if it does in that scenario, I'll be keeping my eye on these lower price targets for Ethereum around 2633. Looking at XRP's daily chart, let's turn our notes on from last time we talked about XRP. We can see here XRP has now moved through every price target that we talked about, running into resistance in that range that we talked about as well. And now it may find some support around 92 cents, but it's still hanging strong above. XRP looking very bullish, and everything depends on Ethereum continuing to pump. So if we jump over to the 4-hour chart, you can see here XRP finding good support around that 92 cent price target. See those long wicks. XRP wants to pump, looking very bullish, but it all depends on Ethereum and Bitcoin continuing to pump, or else XRP, like the rest of the market, will trend back down to some of these lower price targets. So price targets for the time being for XRP, very simple. As long as the market keeps pumping, XRP's resistance level is around 105. If it can build support above there, XRP has the opportunity to break out to 125 or higher. As far as pullback targets go, it's got good support around 92 cents. Below there, I keep my eye on around 84 cents, and below there, I'd keep my eye on around 80 cents, right outside that Kumo cloud. But in the event of a market crash, if Bitcoin and Ethereum pull back aggressively, keep my eye on that 200 EMA around 75 cents for XRP. Looking at SXP's daily chart, let's turn the notes on from last time we talked about SXP. I know we talked about SXP a few days ago, but let me turn these notes off and take a look at this daily chart. Is this chart even pulling back? Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. is this chart even pulling back? SXP is looking very bullish. And if the market continues to pump, I mean, this is SXP in a situation like today where the market has pulled back and it seems borderline unfazed. So as far as price action goes, if the market continues to pump, SXP is looking very bullish. Price targets for SXP are pretty much the same as we talked about last time, but again, let me turn these notes off and take a close look at SXP. This is a potential breakout scenario on the daily. As soon as that lagging span pops out, if Ethereum is pumping at the time that this is in the full-on breakout mode like this on the daily chart, SXP could push to higher price targets. So let's talk a little bit about some of these higher price targets. Again, SXP right now is pressed right up against resistance around 336. We talked about that back when SXP was kind of around here, around $3. But as far as price action goes, if SXP can build up support above 336, next price target would be around 36. But in a breakout scenario, I would not be surprised to see SXP trade around $4. And if the market continues to pump there, SXP could push to $5 to $6 or higher. As far as pullbacks go, if SXP finally does start to lose a bit of steam, for the time being, my initial pullback target is around $3. Below there, I keep my eye on this range here of around 274, and below that, I keep my eye on 261. And in the event of a major market crash, a big pullback, I keep my eye on that 200 EMA for SXP around 237. Looking at EGLD, Elrond Gold's daily chart. Let's turn the notes on from last time we talked about EGLD. Elrond is moving very bullishly. It's having a bit of a pullback finally today. I mean, if you turn these notes off, look at the monster run that Elrond went on. If we jump to the 4-hour chart, still looking very bullish, has not even approached that Kumo cloud. And this bit of a pullback here, conversion line is still above the baseline, and I would not be surprised if the market keeps pumping for Elrond to continue to push up in price. From there, EGLD still looking very bullish on the 4-hour chart. As long as price doesn't approach that Kumo cloud or enter it, still looks great on the 4-hour chart, and the 1-day chart looks perfectly fine as well. A pullback here is very healthy for price action. And EGLD, if you turn these notes off, lagging span, conversion line, baseline, everything is out, uptrend, ready to go. If Ethereum, Bitcoin start pumping, EGLD does have the potential to break out to these higher price targets. As far as price targets go for EGLD, pretty simple. Breakout target is around 173 and possibly even 194 from there, but my initial breakout target for now is around 173. Current resistance 150. Didn't quite get there last time, but EGLD looking very bullish breakout scenario here. As long as the market keeps pumping, EGLD just needs to build support around 150, and then it's breakout time for EGLD towards 173. As far as pullback targets go, it's got support around 129. Below that, keep my eye on 120, and then below that 110. And on the lower end, if there's a major market crash, that 200 EMA around 97.13 for EGLD. All right, folks, that's all for today. If there's any charts you want to look at in the future, leave it down in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn that bell on to catch notifications for all daily uploads. If you're not following me on Twitter, KevinCrates_ on Twitter. I'm extremely active on there. Anytime you tweet at me, I will always tweet back at you. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'm out.